What's up, y'all? This is Essence China of Rare Essence Academy, and today I want to talk about why people pleasing is sabotaging your business. If you ever wonder why your business feels chaotic, why clients are overstepping and your schedule feels scattered, and why you're constantly reacting instead of leading, it's not because you're a bad stylist. It just means that you have to make the transition from a stylist to a business owner, to a leader, to somebody who is developing a brand, a legacy brand. We have to shift in our minds. And that leadership gap is exactly what's creating the chaos in your business. It's creating chaos in your schedule, within your own body. Like, you feel it in your own body. Because when you're out of balance in your business, many times it is an indication that there's balance issues throughout all of your being, right? And all the other things that are attached to you. So today we're going to talk about why boundaries feel scary and why people pleasing is secretly sabotaging your business and how to start stepping into the authority that God already gave you. So let's get into it. Now, if I'm honest, I'm just going to share a little bit of my story. When I went from braiding hair out of my apartment to opening a salon, and I opened a salon with 4 chairs, and it was just me for quite some time. Honestly, I was struggling. I just was like, man, why is my business not growing? It wasn't even so much that my clients were necessarily disrespectful, but I did feel the overwhelm of just answering everybody's like what they needed. Like, oh, I need to go out of town, or oh, I'm about to get married. And I didn't have any process or protocol of like how things should be established. So then that way I know how to govern myself, and I also know how to communicate with my clientele what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Like, you can't hit me up last minute to tell me that you're going out of town and your flight leave at midnight tonight and you need to get in by 8 o'clock tonight. And so sometimes we feel that guilt as stylists to feel that we need to come in with the cape to save somebody when they really should have made some plans way prior to them hit you up last minute. Now, I get it. There may be emergency situations, right? But we're not talking about emergency situations. We're talking about clients who live their life this way. And because they live their life this way, they are going to bring that energy into your business and you're going to feel like obligated. And so this is what I find that a lot of stylists deal with. They feel this level of obligation. They feel this level of guilt to serve and to answer everybody's issue. And then the next thing you know, they find themselves burnt out because they have taken care of everybody else. They have served, but they're now empty. And so this is sabotaging your business because you're people pleasing. Now let's talk about how this shows up emotionally, because a lack of leadership doesn't just show up in your operations. It shows up in your emotions as well. You start feeling anxious about enforcing your policies. And we all know the feeling, right? There's this battle within us because we know what we deserve as stylists, but at the same time, we also don't want anybody to think a particular way about us. We don't want people to be mad at us. Not only do we feel the anxiety, we also feel the guilt of protecting our time, or at least trying to protect our time, right? Many of you are not just hairstylists. Some of you are wives. Some of you are mothers. Some of you have mothers and older family members that you might have a certain capacity that you need to keep for other family members. And so you're not just a stylist, right? You have a whole life that you have to have capacity for. And even furthermore, you have to have it for yourself. And so if we keep feeling the guilt, feeling the anxiety, what this does, it literally like makes us get to a point where we're running on fumes from an emotional standpoint. And now this gets to fear. We start fearing if we're going to lose our business, if we start doing these things, if we start raising our prices, if we start establishing these boundaries, if we start protecting our time, or that client might leave, or they might get mad and they might go and say something, right? And now we have all this fear. So we go from anxiety to guilt to fear. And this typically leads to emotional drain. I can't tell you how many stylists I talk to who are burnt out. They have run themselves pretty much into a brick wall because they have continued this cycle of people pleasing and going through the emotional anxiety and the guilt and the fear. And now we're at a place where we're drained and like, yo, I feel like Pepe Le Pew. I don't know if you ever seen Pepe Le Pew walking in the desert. I mean, he is tired. He is dehydrated. He is just like, I'm about to pass out. I've even been there as a stylist early in my career. And even as I got into different stages of my career, I started recognizing that I didn't have that balance and I was people pleasing in other ways. And this is what we have to be mindful of. Now, here's the truth. You can't lead anything if you're emotionally afraid of it. You can't manage your books effectively if you're afraid to say no. You can't enforce your policies if you feel guilty. And you can't run your business effectively if you are afraid of clients leaving you. Again, you're moving out of fear. That's what's motivating every decision that you're making. And that's why leadership is not just a structural skill, it is an emotional emotional skill, because we have to become more in charge and more command of our emotions to where we don't allow the fear to dictate how we move. I always tell people how we think, right, dictates how we feel. Our mindset now is the foundation for our mood, our MOOD. And now, because we're afraid, now we feel energetically off, emotionally off in our mood. And now that mood affects our moves, our MOVE. So when we're afraid, what this does now is it makes us feel immobile. We feel immobilized. We can't move. And so in our business, we feel stuck. This becomes a pattern of our mindset being off, our energy and our attitude and our mood being off. And now this affects how we move. And many times it affects us moving at all. And we become immobilized and paralyzed in our business. And then we just go through the cycle of feeling stuck. And so now we have to go back to fixing our mind. And that mind is, it's not my job to manage other people's emotions. Okay, so let's talk about why enforcement feels scary. It feels scary because we probably have never used our voice in a way that communicates our value in our business and sometimes even in our own personal lives. But it's something that can be trained, right? And as I've mentioned before in other videos, when we get into business, we don't have a supervisor. We don't have a manager. We don't have a boss. And so this means that we have to become the voice. We have to be the one that establishes and enforces our boundaries. So again, it feels scary because of what we're thinking about in our mind. We're thinking about, well, what if they get mad? Well, what if they leave? And so we have to begin to shift that part of our mindset to not think on those things. We have to think on, I have to protect my business. I have to protect my legacy. And I know that there are clients who will respect that. And you have to know that because that really is the truth. There are clients who will respect boundaries. It's actually the ones who have already established boundaries for themselves, or they're open to learning about establishing boundaries. But for those people who have never even established boundaries for themselves, they ain't gonna be respecting nobody's boundaries. I just want to give some examples of what people pleasing looks like and sounds like. So if you happen to hear yourself doing this, you can almost stop yourself in your tracks and be like, hold up, this Essence told me that this is not going to help me run my business and lead my business effectively. So let me check myself. Okay. So I'm just going to give you some examples. I didn't charge them the full amount because I felt bad. I squeezed her in even though it ruined my whole day. I didn't want to tell him no. I didn't enforce the late fee. I didn't enforce the cancellation fee. Now, you know, when somebody doesn't show up, especially if it's a service that take half or the whole day and you didn't enforce it, and now you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs and scrolling on Instagram because you don't have a client today and you didn't even get at least a cancellation fee out of it. All of these things indicate that there's some people pleasing going on in your heart and in your mind. People pleasing creates chaos because it now makes your business feel unpredictable, unstructured, emotionally draining, financially unstable, and dependent on how others feel. When you make decisions from fear, from guilt, from anxiety, it actually means that somebody else is controlling the business and not you. And that's the thing. It's like we delegate by default the authority in our businesses when we're moving in fear. And then people pleasing becomes a silent killer in our business. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, Essence, you are speaking directly to my soul right now, right? Like I've been experiencing these things, but I haven't understood how to articulate them, nor have I learned how to even shift these things for me. Then this may be something that you may be interested in, which is my Rare Stylist Blueprint, where I coach and teach stylists how to build the businesses that have the leadership that's necessary, how to now walk in a level of authority in your business to where you have the boundaries and you have the systems that are going to make clients respect your business, right? You're going to attract the aligned clients and you're going to step into the CEO mindset that's necessary for your business to scale and to grow. If that's something you're interested in, click the link in my description to learn more. So here's the great news. Leadership is not a personality trait. It is a learned skill. I know you might be like, Essence, you sound so confident and you seem like you're a great leader. I don't know because I'm shy and I'm an introvert. And again, cut it off in your head because the reality is you have the ability. If you truly want to learn and you really want to change your business, just understand that you can change. So let's talk about the 3 shifts that you have to make in order to have that change. Number 1, you have to decide that you're the leader, not the client, not your circumstances, and certainly not your emotions. You are the leader. Number 2, communicate with clarity and not with apology. And I have to say this, even when you're communicating with clarity and not with apology and with firmness, I also want you to understand that it's all about grace and learning how to speak the truth in love. But this means that there's no sugarcoating anything. I talked about this in another video. We just need to make clear and distinct sentences and no paragraphs. paragraphs. So we're going to speak the truth in love. We're going to communicate with clarity and authority. Number 3, we're going to create standards and we're going to enforce them consistently. Not sometimes, not when you got that little courage in your heart, right? But every time. We're going to communicate with consistency and with courage, clearly, whatever it is that our policies are, in love. Now, let me tell you this, the more consistently that you lead, the more that your clients are going to feel safe with you, and it's going to command respect for your business. As I've said this before in other videos, when you don't lead, you delegate the authority. At that point, your clients will decide your schedule. They will bum rush you on your boundaries. They will try to bargain you down on your prices, and they will ultimately decide your value if you allow it. And they won't even be doing this out of malice. They'll just be doing it by default because no one had taken that position of leadership. And at the end of the day, leadership is simply deciding that you, as a stylist, as a business owner, as a CEO, set the tone. And once you set that tone, everything begins to shift and everything starts to come into alignment. As I said before, chaos in your business is not caused by clients, but when we allow ourselves to think that, then we become powerless and we keep blaming the client when we haven't taken a look at ourselves. It's us deciding that we set the tone. It's us deciding that we are the leaders for our business and we're going to lead it to a place of excellence. When you step into leadership, your communication shifts, your boundaries strengthen, your confidence grows, your business becomes peaceful, and your clients start to respect like no other. Now, if you're ready to lead your business with clarity and authority, that's exactly what I'll walk you through in the Rare Stylist Blueprint. So click the link in the description and I'll see you in the next video.